Studios in Mexico, Tutora.tv.
Thank you.
We know you are a famous person. We know about your speech. We know about your community, but no one knows about your childhood, your past, where you were born, where did you learn when you were young, and all your life.
Those are easy questions I can answer. I know them. I was born in New York City, in a hospital called Mount Sinai. I was born on the 17th day of Heshvan. I remember that because when I got older, I found out that that was the day that the Mabul started. I'm not sure yet I know the connection between my birthday and the Mabul, but nonetheless it was a significant day. At least for me it is. I was raised in New York my whole life. My grandparents were born in Aleppo, all of them, in Syria. They emigrated to the United States in the 1900s, 1920s, 1910, and they raised their children, my parents, in America.
Who's the person that had most influence in your life, and why?
Most influence. Well, I can't give the credit to one individual. There was many personalities that shaped and continue to shape. I don't consider myself a finished product by any means. It's a work in progress. There's still many personalities today that are impacting and influencing me a lot. I guess the first and foremost has to be my parents. Both of them are very exceptional human beings, very traditional, very committed, and they have a very unique style of chinuch that gave me a very happy childhood, provided for me many opportunities, and they're responsible for really introducing me to some of the greatest rabbis that eventually that would have an impact. In 8th grade, I learned with a rabbi called Hacham Baruch ben Hayim, who was the Havruta of Hacham Ovadia Yosef, a student of Hacham Mizrahi. At a young age, I was marveled by this rabbi. He knew the whole Torah by heart, practically. He was the leader of our community. He was loved by everybody. And at a young age, I aspired to be like him, to follow his ways and his teachings and his thinkings. As I graduated, then I met other great rabbis like Rabbi Hillel Haber from the high school that I went to, Sha'arei Torah. And as I grew older, I started to see other great rabbis that impacted me, like a rabbi called Rabbi Zev Tekutsky, Rav Chaim Weintraub, and others that I studied with. And when I got married, I studied under a rabbi called Rabbi Max Masselton. We were Havruta for many years, the Rosh Kolel, and it is from him that I got my semicha. But I don't think you ever graduate this profession. It's not like some sort of career that you get a master's and then you get your diploma and then you move on. I think this is the type of career that I chose as a rabbi. It's unending. It's a life where you're continually working on yourself, studying, teaching. So even today I study in the Kollel, besides my community obligations, with the great Hakamim, Tzaddikim. So I'll have to get back to you because the list is still growing. But those are just some of the key people that have molded my life and impacted me.
You have time these days to study?
Do we have time to study? You know, that's like asking a pilot, does he have time to fly? I mean, what is a rabbi? I mean, you referred to me as Hacham. I didn't ask you to call me Hacham. I assume that a Hacham is not a proper title. We call ourselves Talmidei Hachamim, because a Hacham always must be a Talmid. So your question should be, do I find time for other things outside of learning?
How you manage your time?
That's
that
the question.
will be the question.
I understand, but clearly learning is our priority. All Jews, that should be the priority, but certainly if a medicine is a priority to a doctor, and law is a priority to a lawyer, and art is a priority to an artisan, so then Torah must be a priority, and I mean learning Torah and teaching it to a rabbi. So yes, I do carve out a large majority of my day to the study of Torah, and I find that as busy as you could be, by carving out those hours to study Torah, there's a blessing that all the other things get done much quicker.
Since you have one of the most important Syrian communities in the world, we want to ask you why it's so important to keep the Halebi Masoret.
Why is it important to keep the Masoret of Halab? Well, it's not more important to keep the Masoret of Halab more than any other Masoret. It's important to keep your Masoret, wherever it may be. I wouldn't tell a European that he has to adopt, the Masoret of Aleppo, but I would hope that he would be loyal to whatever his tradition of his grandfathers and great-grandfathers are. As well as we are loyal to a tradition that's older than us, that preceded us. It's important that youth know that there's something that started before you. Our religion didn't start from us. It's something that's old and something that has value. It's important that children know that there's something called Masoret, that your father gave you something. Without Masoret, then, every generation could start concocting new versions of Judaism. We don't need a new version. The version that my grandfather gave me is a very healthy version. It's a good version. So to answer to your question, I believe everybody must be committed to Masoret Abotav. As long as it's a legitimate Masoret, which Baruch Hashem, there are many legitimate Masoret around. I happen to be very lucky. I consider myself most lucky that our family landed in the Masoret of Halab, which we have great pride for. And we, treasure these minhagim, but it gives our children a sense of where we come from.
What are the key challenges today in the Jewish community, in the Halabi community? And you saw a lot of communities, Syrian communities, Ashkenazi communities in the world. What will be your advice to them?
The challenges today are what they probably were in every single generation, and that is the youth. Again, I don't think anything is unique to us. I think all these issues that we are grappling with, they have a precedent. They have, a history. Shlomo HaMelech said there's nothing new under the sun. So I don't believe that any of our problems are unprecedented. Probably every Jewish generation had to deal with the youth of that generation wanting to, try and experiment. And then the Hachamim of that generation had to figure out new ways within the framework of Torah to attract the youth. I mean, Rabbi Yisrael Salanta invented the Musar movement. That was a new movement. The Baal Shem Tov created the movement of Hasidut. These were all reactions to problems that they faced, and we're facing the same problems, and that was their solution. So the problem always is going to be, as generations progress, how to package Judaism in an authentic package, in a real, true, genuine package, but that it's appetizing for the youth. Cultures. Our culture is no different than all the other cultures. We had Rome, we had Greece, we had, Bavel, go through all history. Jews were always exposed to cultures. We were in Spain. In Europe, they had European culture. So to say, oh, the culture, it's an old problem. And our responsibility is, again, to take the Torah and present it with new ideas, with new ways, with new packaging, again, without changing the essence of it and the core of it, and to present it in hope that the youth will accept it.
Certainly your books were translated to Spanish not long ago. Whose idea was that?
Well, there's a great Jew here in Mexico. He's well known. I only met him a few months ago, Mr. Zuri Atiyeh. I consider him a cherished friend, and I pray that our friendship should continue for many years. Our friendship is based on a partnership that we both share a vision to spread Torah around the world. I believe that both of us use our God-given talents for that mission. That's why I was impressed by him. He saw one of these books that we have published several years back. It made sense to him. He felt it is a clear message. He asked me if I would allow him to translate it into Spanish. At the beginning, I was hesitant. A lot is lost in translation. The book that I wrote it in my native tongue. So I know that I captured what I wanted to say. But I wasn't so sure that the translator was going to be able to capture what I'm going to say. And more importantly, if he doesn't capture it, that's not so bad, but I was worried that he might distort it. And then that's not considered a success by any standard. The good news is Zuri Atiyeh is very responsible. So he said, I want you to meet the translator before we do it. I met him. He's a very, very bright and gifted man that translated much more complicated books than my, book of Dirashot and books of Ramchal, of that level. And I looked through them and he did a remarkable job. I don't speak Spanish or read it, but Rabbi Tawil from the community said he went through it, both the English and the Hebrew, and the English and the Spanish, and he said it's word for word, but more importantly, idea for idea.
It's good because you don't speak Spanish and he doesn't speak English, so...
Yeah, we have a good we can't fight. But I'm very, very happy with the result. It's been given out for free. That was one of the conditions we made. We're not in the business of selling books. If a person is not going to pay $10, then he loses out on life. And Mr. Atiyeh, who was very generous, said, of course we're going to give them out. But his idea was that books are not like flyers. You can't just give them out. Then people take them and put them in Genizah. So his idea was to bring me to Mexico for a few days, that's what I'm doing here, and to bring me around to different places to speak the written word. And then people will say, oh, now we understand who this man is. And they could decide whether they want to take a book or not. And Baruch Hashem, so far, at all the events, there's been a lot of people, men, women, and children, all taking books. That's stage one. I hope they'll follow up by reading it. A book doesn't benefit anybody if it's closed. But I think after this week and being exposed to the community, I believe that it'll be read.
I know you're running on time. I want to ask you only just 2 questions. We don't have this type of visits every day. We hope we're going to have you a lot of times, but I have only 2 questions. One question is, you know a lot of Syrian communities, and you have a big community over there. You see a big difference between our Mansour and the Syrian community in New York?
Yeah, there's a big difference between our community in New York and all communities. I don't say that we're the best. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of deficiencies ourselves, but I will never share our deficiencies, with strangers. That's something we keep amongst us. But I will share very, very loudly our successes That is our yeshivot. We have very, very, very solid yeshivot. From, I would say, the middle to the, extreme right. But put our school that's in the middle in most other communities, and it'll be, like Harvard. So the level of education in our community is on a very high standard. Everybody's receiving a quality education. The kids all graduate from every school studying Chumash, Rashi, Mishnah, Gemara, Musar, Tefillah. There's no censorship in our schools. We're able to teach freely the Torah to the kids the way they taught it in Halab. So we're very, very lucky with that. The education is great. Is it perfect? It's far from perfect. But if you want to put us on a scale to compare us against other Jewish communities, I think we're ahead. The second thing I will tell you, which probably is as a result from the first thing, probably the education led to the second thing I'm going to mention, is the assimilation rate. In our community is assimilation, I mean marrying outside. Not outside our community, I mean outside our religion. I can't say it's 0%, but if it's not 0%, it's close to it.
Wow.
Now I travel the world, all Jewish communities, Sephardi and Ashkenazim. Nobody has yet able to give me that success rate. So it works when you give kids an education, when you have strong synagogues, when you have strong families that we do, very, very tight families, close-knitted families, connected, and some rabbinical, maneuverings and, safeguards, fences. It works. So yes, it's education, number one, and the very, very low assimilation rate, I would say, makes our community in Brooklyn, stand out. Do we fight these challenges every day? Of course. Nobody's resting because today it's good. We're all, living in the real world, real time. And we are very, very cognizant that, these can change at any moment. So therefore we have to constantly work at keeping that standard of education and low assimilation rate. But at least we have identified our successes, and therefore the rabbis and the lay leaders, they all agree that this is it. So they work around the clock, whether it's with their money or their ideas, energies, in order to safeguard those two foundations.
Last question. You could give us a message to our community or an advice for our youth or for our women or all our community?
I think it would be pretentious for me to give advice. You have a lot of great rabbis here that know the community much better than I do. You have a great lay leaders that understand dynamics that I'll never understand by coming 2-3 days at a time. So, although I have a great urge always to give advice, but in the vidui sometimes we say ya'atznu esot ra'ot. Sometimes the advice that we give is well intended but falls short because we don't know the full picture. So then my advice would be based on that the community should listen to its leadership. The laymen should continue to invest dollars into the community, into building schools, to building synagogues like you've done. I've seen the most magnificent synagogues, very, very impressive. You need libraries of books so kids can read books. So strong rabbinical leadership, strong lay leaders backing them, building Torah institutions, then everybody will fall into place. Men, women, and children. That's a general advice that works not only for Mexico, that works for everywhere. Now there's a lot of details in that I'll leave up to the Hachamim over here to tweak it. But that's the skeleton.
Thank you, Chacham Ilai Mansour. It was a pleasure having you here in Tutorah.tv. And we hope we're going to have you again here.
Oh, sir.